Hello, I'm Stephen Ang, and welcome back to another review. Today's review is Terminator Dark Fate. It should have been called Terminalatino. Now, the movie is called Dark Fate, so when they kill off John Connor in the beginning, that would be a dark fate that John would die. So that makes sense. However, Paramount and the other movie companies are basically trying to say, hey, Uh, we have nothing against illegal immigration. We have nothing against Mexico. And we're really super cool. So we're going to kill off John Connor. And look, see, we made the new John Connor not only a female, but also Hispanic. I think Mexico gave up California anyway. So I don't know why there's a big trip about that. The CGI in this movie in a lot of parts was really good. The action was really good. A lot of the CGI, especially the young Sarah Connor, the young John Connor, looked absolutely amazing. Overall, this movie was a real piece of shit, though. It was a real piece of shit. People were falling asleep in the theater, and I could hear snoring. It was really boring. The best thing about it was Linda Hamilton, who played Sarah Connor. It was great to see her again, but they didn't really make her seem smart. She seemed more just stupid and was just, she was, I guess you could say, a badass. But the new Sarah Connor, the new John Connor, who was this Hispanic woman, she didn't do anything that really showed that she was hardcore. She really didn't do anything that showed, like Sarah Connor in the first one. She was like, I can't even balance my checkbook. She was a normal person, but at the end, she of course fights that fucking Terminator and kills it. In this one, she doesn't kill it. She doesn't fucking kill it. The Terminator does. Arnold Schwarzenegger does. And Arnold's barely in this. And I think it's ridiculous that they had a Terminator be able to grow a conscience and decide, I'm going to have a family and I'm sorry that I killed John Connor. I think that part was ridiculous. The main Terminator in this, he didn't do a bad job. I just didn't like his look. But again, overall, this movie was really shitty. And I can't believe that people think Salvation was worse. I think Salvation was better. I think Genesis was better. I think this is the worst Terminator movie by far. This is worse than the third one. The third one's better than this. The third one felt more like a Terminator movie. This felt like mixing a Terminator movie with a statement that didn't need to be said. Because I don't think those Mexicans ever got to building that wall. And Donald Trump didn't keep with it like he thought he was. And they're not building that fucking wall. And there's still plenty of Hispanic people or Mexicans, whatever, that are illegal, that are over here. I don't really give a shit. But I'm just saying, like, they're still all here. They're not being all thrown out and all that shit. So this is more, I think, for a media frenzy and to build off of all this bullshit like the racism and all that other shit that we can't seem to let go of. But there was a lot of political things about this movie, and I think it took away from the movie. And it's supposed to be about Terminator. That's it. It's Terminator. We don't need these political bullshit involved with it. But they decided that's what they were going to do. The ending is that main woman who took over John Connor's spot saying to Sarah Connor, I don't want anybody else to die because of me. And then Sarah Connor's like, Ch-ch, then you need to get ready. And they drive off. It was really I think, weak writing. And I really hate the fact that it sucked so bad. I almost fell asleep myself. The sound effects were really good, and it was loud, and there was a lot of good action sequences. But overall, um, this is probably the worst Terminator movie they've made. So this one is just about Sarah Connor lost John. She's depressed and drinks and then this other Terminator came to help save basically the new Sarah Connor, or I'm sorry, the new John Connor, who happens to be located in Mexico. And that's about it. There's this Terminator that's coming after them and coming after her. And Sarah Connor she just takes out Terminators. That's it. And she's real pissed off about John dying. And they go to Mexico and meet this new woman who's again supposed to be John Connor. And that's pretty much it. It's about them taking him out. It's I don't see how it's a mix of the first and second one. I see it more of a mix of the first one, um, and taking elements of the second one, like a continuation. But John died right at the beginning, so um, I think there could have been a better setup. I think there could have been it could have been better. The CGI on John and Sarah in the beginning was really cool, and I think they should have flowed with that throughout the whole movie and perhaps maybe kept John Connor. But we're in a day and age now where, I didn't like this movie, so I don't like Mexicans. That's why. That's why I didn't like this movie, because I don't like Mexicans. Viva la Mexico. That's not why this movie's shitty. And it's also just unnecessary. I believe it's very unnecessary because I work with Mexicans and we're all cleaning dishes and we all have the same amount of pay, and they're not doing better than I am and I'm not doing better than they are, and we kind of both just shake our head and go oy vey. So it's just pointless. This movie seemed like it was Hollywood saying, we're good people. We made that one movie, remember? Sarah Connor. Huh? John Connor now is Mexican. Huh? So we don't believe in that border stuff. So good on us. Keep seeing our movie. There was a whole thing about how many women are in this movie, and like it's a feminist movie, kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. But I think the women did a good job in this movie. The Hispanic John Connor female, she didn't stand out at all. Um, she was I think the weakest character, and uh, just I didn't get anything from her. She was boring. The movie was fun when it was Sarah Connor and when Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the screen, but they made Arnold just very basic, very empty. It was just him, and it makes sense with the tagline in Dark Fate, or that he was sad, and but he was taking care of a family that to change his ways, and I thought also that's kind of stupid because it's a Terminator. The only reason why the T-1000 or what the fuck was it, the T-101, Model 101, the only reason why he's tried to save John in the second one, Judgment Day, was because John went back in time to reprogram him. So the fact that he just all of a sudden grows a conscience is stupid. It's stupid. But at the end, the other Terminator that's helping them dies. She has a part in her that can explode, and the new John Connor takes it out to stab the other Terminator with it. And then Terminator keeps that Terminator down with that fucking, explosive, and it destroys him, and it destroys the other Terminator. And at the end, before the Terminator dies, or Arnold Schwarzenegger dies, he says, "For John," which was cool. But at the same time, it was just like, the problem with Genesis wasn't really a problem, but Genesis, they made John Connor the bad guy, which it just made sense. It was just an alternate timeline. This is just an alternate timeline. So people that are getting upset that John dies in this is just another alternative timeline. And in this one, it's darker, where John dies and John is no longer. But I think, of course, the problem with that is that you're going to piss off a lot of fans. And a lot of fans, the story wasn't good enough for them to go, you know what, that makes an even better idea. That's a better. No. And this shit didn't work. And for the amount of time of the choreography and the CGI that went into the movie, it was a big, expensive piece of shit. And this is not the best one, or not the better than Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It's not better than Salvation. I don't see how people are like, Salvation was crap. How? What do you mean? It was entertaining as fuck. I think Salvation was better than Genesis, but I think Genesis was better than this one. I think the third one, Rise of the Machines, was better than this one. This one, Dark Fate, was the worst fucking one. And James Cameron had nothing to do with this. He probably just gave a little bit of money and said, "Get the fuck out of my way." He gave permission for them to keep on making the movies. Something. He had nothing to fucking do with this. And if he did, he's lost his fucking mind as a writer, and he's lost his goddamn mind as a fucking director. I believe he wrote some of the story. But if he really wrote some of the story, he wrote like 1 or 2 goddamn pages and said, "I'm out." Because from someone that makes Aliens and Titanic and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, to go from that to this weak shit is ridiculous. But again, the problem wasn't that it was based off in Mexico, and then it was the overall story and just the flow of it, and it was fucked up. It was stupid. It was really fucking stupid. Just the whole damn concept. The beginning was the best. But Sarah Connor was awesome. But they could have had more emotion. They could have had, of course, more Terminator, more Arnold. And I think there's a lot of things that could have been made that could have made this movie a lot funner. A lot more fun. Because people were falling asleep. They were going to sleep while watching this movie. That's how it was. Boring. I'll be back.